Hi and welcome back. After the last video, I decided I actually want to make a probably short little series on life after divorce and like things I would do differently and stuff like that. And today I wanted to start with what are some things that kind of helped me through the kind of immediate time after the separation and during the divorce process. Like what helped me get through? What are some weird things I noticed? Stuff like that. And so if you're going through a divorce process or you're thinking about it, these are just kind of some things that you might want to keep in mind, whether they help you or you catch yourself doing them. I'm in, I'm out, same story. All right, so one of the things that I found myself doing that I didn't even realize I was doing until I'll explain why, was I always, when I was on my own, I always wanted background noise. Mostly that was in the form of comfort TV shows like Friends or a YouTube channel like vloggers just talking. Even if I wasn't like totally listening to it, if I was like had it on while I was doing other stuff, or podcasts or music, but it was primarily like people talking was more what I was looking for. I found myself doing that all the time when I was alone in my apartment. And I didn't even realize I was doing it until I was watching a YouTuber that I followed during this, Mikhail Jancy. She's a YouTuber here and you should go check her out. But she was a few months ahead of me in the divorce process. And she did a video like this where she was explaining things that she found herself doing kind of post-divorce or in that process. And she said that she always had the radio or the TV on, and it was just like she didn't want to be alone or, kind of had that feeling of safety. And I didn't even realize that that's why I was doing it, because prior to living alone, like all I craved was quiet. I was like, I don't want people around. I don't want noise. I don't want, like, the neighbors were making noise. It would drive me up the wall. Like, I just wanted peace and quiet all the time. And since moving out, all I wanted was noise and people around, and it was so weird. So if you find yourself doing that, know that I think is a pretty common thing from the little bits that I've heard from people. And it really does create that sense of comfort for us, especially in what kind of my next thing is, comfort TV shows. So again, through all of this, I found myself going back to, again and again, my favorite comfort TV shows and movies. I have gone through the whole series of Friends multiple times since I left. I've been watching things, like for me, it's like 90s sitcoms. That is my comfort show. For you, it might be something else. It could be rewatching favorite movies over and over. And it's really funny because, again, I didn't really think about that as something, I don't know if I want to say weird, but something that I was doing until my boyfriend, who is super, super big into movies and always wanting to watch something new and learn something new. And he rarely goes back and watches something over once he's already seen it. And so he'd always be like, oh, let's watch something new. And I'd be like, no, I just want to have Friends on in the background. And he doesn't get it. And I'm just like, I'm like craving that comfort and stability that I didn't have. And so this is kind of allowing me to cocoon in a safe way. It's like the nervous system isn't ready for a lot of new information. Like I can't physically process that. I want those comfort shows. Because I think because I know how it's going to end, first of all, I think that's really important. There's nothing in there that's going to shock me or be new or leave me wondering. I've gotten triggered by a lot of movies and plays and things that I've seen since the divorce in ways that I never thought I would have. So I think for me, and I think for a lot of people, it is a really just like secure way to know what the ending is going to be, because a lot of life feels very up in the air and tumultuous right now, and I have no idea where I'm going to be a year from now, let alone 10 years from now. I barely know what tomorrow is going to look like. So this is something that I can latch onto. So along with those, I also found myself craving just being around people more. Now, I would have always described myself as an introvert prior to this. Like, yes, I'm an actress. I can turn it on, you know, like I can make myself appear extroverted. But for the first time in my life, I was actually craving being around people and not being alone. And so it actually worked out really well that my first job when I got to New York was doing outreach and marketing and business development for a company, because a huge part of that job was meeting with people in person, Zoom, going to networking events, hosting networking events. That's all stuff that if you had asked me a year before all of this, I would have been like, oh, that sounds like a horrible way to spend your day. Now I crave it. I love it. I want to do it more. And it's so funny. I mean, of course, like a core of me is still introverted, and I do still crave that alone time. And that's why I really loved living alone as well. But I found myself getting out of the apartment as much as possible, which was very much aided by that job. And when I wasn't going out for job-related stuff, I was going out and exploring the city. I was taking myself to dinner. I was going on dates. I was trying to meet new people. I was putting myself in situations where I would have to talk to people. And again, I don't think I really realized how much I was like craving that and how much it impacted me until I was kind of looking at it retrospectively. Some other things that I found myself doing was, you know, for better or worse, there was obviously a lot of crying. I found myself crying mostly in bed at night. And to this day, I still sometimes do, like that time period where your lights are off, you're in bed, but you're not asleep yet. That is when most of like the memories, both good and bad. I mean, there was a lot of good memories, right? So you start second guessing yourself and saying like, what if? Like, what if I had stayed? What if things were different? What if this had happened? What if that had happened? Or, you know, thinking about conversations you'll never have with them. And so there's a lot of crying, and like random things would trigger. And I think a big win out of all of this was really starting to feel my emotions more authentically than I had been allowing myself to do for a long time. You know, I was always in relationships with people or in situations where it was okay to cry. It was never like you, oh my God, you're a wuss if you cry. Or, you know, especially as a woman, it was okay. But I always felt like I had to really rein in my emotions to a big extent to make everyone else around me happy or to put on a face or whatever. And so letting myself feel things, be authentic, and whether that was alone in my room or in front of other people, I think that was a really helpful thing in a lot of sense. I needed to let it out. And, you know, it's frustrating. Like, no one wants to be sad and crying and depressed and dealing with that or letting people see that. So, I mean, it's not fun, but it's something that I think you have to expect kind of no matter how things went down. Along with that, I found myself going on a lot of walks. Again, this kind of went along with the getting out because I didn't really want to be alone. But even if my walks were completely solo and I didn't interact with anyone or like just the barista when I got my coffee or whatever, it was still just like getting out, seeing new things, having that movement, feeling the air of fresh outdoors on me rather than staying holed up inside. I think that was one of the better coping mechanisms that I've used through this whole thing is going on walks. And that led me to, you know, especially living in a big city that's new to me, I was exploring areas that I hadn't seen before. I really love architecture, and so I would find myself just like looking at all of the cool buildings and, you know, kind of taking that in, or, you know, people watching or whatever. And I thought that was really fun and a cool way to explore and see areas that I might not otherwise have gone to. And I think that's something that most people can do. Like, it doesn't cost anything to just go for a walk, as long as your neighborhood or where you're going is safe enough for you to be walking by yourself in. Like, go explore. Like, it's really cool to see all the little things that you miss if you're taking a car, or if you're just like, I need to get to point B, and you're just zooming through. It's really cool to see all the little impacts, you know? All right, and the last thing that I'm going to say for this video is the talks that I had with my friends from back where I was living before was essential, I think, to getting through this transition. Because again, when I was separated and getting the divorce, I moved cross country. I moved to where I had very few people that I knew and was friends with. And so maintaining those friendships, I feel like a lot of my friendships actually got stronger after I moved here because we kept in touch so much. I was using Marco Polo a lot in particular. If you don't know, it's a free app. I think there's upgrades. I never have paid for it. But it's like essentially video text messaging back and forth. So you can, you know, talk to your friend on your phone and have it a video, and it will go to them and they can watch it on their own time, kind of like a text message, and then they can video chat you back. And that's been really amazing because it allows you to share so much more than like just text or just a voicemail could. And I feel like requires a lot less time than, you know, setting up a phone call or a Zoom or something like that. We didn't have to be available at the same time, especially being in different time zones. That made that easier. I could just be like, you know, I'm having a really hard day, and talk to my friends about it, and they'd respond to me when they could. It also helped us keep up on each other's lives. And some of the friends that I communicated most with, both on that app, but just in general since they've been gone, I have gotten into such deeper friendships with. They are my best friends, really solid people in my life that I am very proud of myself, if I can say that, for maintaining that contact and allowing myself to share things and be vulnerable with them. Because, I mean, they're the people that heard all the details of everything that's gone on in my life that I, you know, will probably never share. I know I'll never share on here. And all the stuff that you saw in that last video that I made, they were living it in real time with me. And I think, you know, staying in touch with the friends that you can is really essential to, again, give you that grounding as you move forward into your new life. Okay, well, I hope this was really helpful to understand yourself, or kind of things maybe to expect if you're going to be going through a divorce or even a major life change. I'm sure this is very similar. And if you are going through that, I'm sorry, because even if it's for a great reason, it's really hard. Life changes a lot, and I know how hard that is. So again, I'm going to have a probably short little series of videos about life after divorce coming. So if that interests you, please, I guess, like and subscribe and follow my videos. Not entirely sure what else coming, but let's do it. All right, thanks. Think I know what